Mr. Worldwide.
Hello and welcome everyone to our second installment of a series of 4 of 12 Inspiring and Entrepreneurial Women in partnership with the UAE Africa Networking Group. And today's topic is media, amongst other things. With you as always, I'm Dandy, and we have my co-host Heath. What's happening, brother?
I am extremely excited. One of the things that I get excited about is looking at everybody's profiles and some of the things that you've done. And it makes sense that you were nominated or awarded this esteemed honor by your peers and by your colleagues. So welcome to Global Brothers Podcast.
We want to get started with actually a good friend of the show. She's been a guest on Global Brothers Podcast before, and we're so happy to host her on this awarding platform, which in our personal opinion, she's very deserving of, and that is none other than Ms. Marsha Fry, who is the founder and editor of Out and About magazine. She is an educator. She is an entrepreneur. She is inspirational. She is a mother, and so many other things. So, Marsha, we'd like you to start off with a little bit about yourself, and kind of tell us like what you feel inspires other people about your movements.
Oh, hi everyone. Thanks for the lovely introduction. That was really sweet of you guys. I'm Marsha Fry. I'm Jamaican British. Moved to the UAE in 2010 from London after making a rash decision with my friend Lisa that we had enough of teaching in Tottenham, so we're going to move to the UAE. So we took that chance. We moved to the UAE almost 10 years ago. So August will be 10 years. I've done quite a lot of things since I've been here. So outside of just education and my education side, which I don't talk a lot about, I've done some of the craziest things. So I'm, as well as Out and About Style magazine, I also have my fashion brand, which is Out and About Style. And if you've known me long enough, you'll know that Out and About Style started from turbans. So the first thing I started doing, I started designing and selling turbans. So I think maybe that's why I would say that people might think that I'm inspirational, because I'm that girl who traveled to Kuwait on Fly Dubai on a Thursday evening after work. I was in the markets with men fanning flies off me while I got my turbans made. I was back all dressed up, all beautiful. And lots of people don't see that side of the story because I've always made it look quite cool. So we started with turbans. We did the whole fashion line, the pop-ups, the sweat, and that led to Out and About Style magazine. So as I said, I would hope, I don't consider myself inspirational. I would hope that others would see me as an inspiration because of my journey, because of the things I've achieved. Out and About Style magazine has done phenomenally well over the last year and a couple of months. When I started out, I had no idea where it was going to go and how long it was going to take. We are not where we need to be yet, but I can say that we've done phenomenally well. And when people see the magazine, they think of this huge team. There are 3 of us who put that magazine together on a monthly basis. 3 people. And all of that awesome work is done every single month. So next to me right now, I've got my laptop because the rest of the team, they're there working for the next issue of the magazine. So I think just my drive, tenacity, the go-getting spirit. I come from a family of hustlers. You know, my mom graduated as a legal secretary and never worked as one for a day in her life. She did hair. She hustled. She sold clothes. She did whatever it took outside of going to a 9 to 5 to make it. My mom is hugely successful as an entrepreneur, but has never felt the need to go out and work for someone. My dad rest in peace, was also an entrepreneur. Did his 9 to 5, but also had taxis, had restaurants, you know. I grew up around that you need to go and get your own. So it's always been in me, always been a part of me. And I'm very vocal about who I am. Not so much about what I do and what might make people think that I'm an inspiration, but just, you know, my journey and what I've done. The word stuck up, that Jamaican word, you know, like very often, like people look from afar and they're like, oh, she's so stuck up. But until you get to know me, I'm not sure. I've heard that a lot. Like, oh, especially from Jamaicans, that you come across as really stuck up. But I think once people get to know me, they get to understand that I'm not coming to something that you've invited me to. It's not because I don't want to come or because I'm stuck up. It's because I'm probably up until 4 a.m. working on something. And I'm going to send you my love, and I'm going to send you my best wishes. I'm going to come as often as I can, but also know that I'm putting in the work. And probably that's why Heath and Marlon and the rest of the can't see how many people are here.
Enough people.
Everybody else. Enough people?
Enough
All right. So maybe that's why I'd say probably that's why people see me as inspirational, because I put in the work. I'm not scared of the work.
Marie Roger Biloa is an award-winning journalist whose career spans many decades, and you've started quite a few businesses, as well as being like a magazine editor, filmmaker, and community organizer for so many different initiatives. So we wanted to hear personally from you what inspires you and has kept you going in the industry for so long, and you know, just some tidbits about your longevity.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you to Marsha. And when she says she doesn't think she's inspirational, she is definitely. And at some point, you don't decide that you are inspirational. People look at you and get something positive from you. I think that's what is happening to me, and that for sure, at some point, you become aware of that people look at you, look up to you, and look for sort of responses, answers, and inspiration too. So you try to live up to that too. So I started as I was born in Cameroon. I started in a I would say in an upscale family. My father was a minister of finance at that time. And so life was actually easy, and I'm very aware of the fact that I was lucky, because you know, it was really depending on where you were born. If you were born like 50 kilometers away from the capital city, your life was likely not to be the same. So when you had access to schools, you had parents pushing you, and education and all that. So I'm very much aware of the luck I had in life. Well, and one point which is also very important to me is that I left Africa only after the age of 20 or even 22. So even if I spent most of my life abroad, and basically in Austria and France, I consider myself an African, thoroughly. An African living somewhere else, but I'm an African, which is not exactly the same thing for my kids who were born in Europe. So being an African was one of my driving forces. And I was feeling committed to Africa. What can I do for my continent? How can I be useful? And it was like, I'm in Europe, but I'm sure Europe doesn't wait for me. They don't need me. They have enough people to do this. How can I be useful? So And I was, at some time, I was at the, I was living in Austria, Vienna, Austria, having a job with the United Nations, and definitely feeling useless. And I didn't know exactly what kind of job I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be in an office sitting there and pushing paperwork with absolutely no effect on. So, and I received sort of a call. I liked writing. I was committed in social activism. I was in groups talking and discussing Africa and what is the way forward. How can we be influential and whatever. And sometime I received a call from a magazine in Paris, France. They had read something, an op-ed from me in a newspaper, and they wanted me to work with them as a journalist. That's the way it started. And it was like, yeah, wow, now I know what I want. I moved to France. And so one of the things I found out that people find inspirational is that I've become a journalist, and I would say high-profile journalist, a successful journalist, without ever being in a school of journalism. I was at university. I have a PhD, but it was in history and German studies, but not journalism. And so people feel like, oh, okay, it's something you can do when you learn how to do it. So that's one of the points. So I love being a journalist. I love writing in a very influential magazine covering Africa. And it was really the magazine, a weekly magazine people were reading, the opinion leaders, the business community, students, very influential in Francophone Africa. So like in 20 countries or beyond in France, whenever they wanted to share something about Africa, and it was Pan-African. That's one of the dimensions I love too. So to make a long story short, I would say another moment in my life, which I think has been inspiring a lot of women, is that I left a high-profile job, a secure job, to start a magazine. Well, let's say to take over a magazine which was way not as prestigious and famous, but it was really covering sub-Saharan Africa. And I said, well, this is a challenge. And it was a difficult journey, but after 20 years, we run it up for 20 years, and I become an entrepreneur. Actually, I started as somebody who wanted to be a journalist and have his own say or her own say, not having chief editors censoring or restricting my freedom. So that was the drive. I wanted to write whatever I want and shape things the way I wanted, but I found myself running a company, layout people, discussing, bargaining for printing and all this stuff, finding money. And so I became an entrepreneur all of a sudden, and that was a challenge. I remember somebody telling me, oh, it's too bad you left your work as a good, well-known journalist to venture in something which will not work, and with you it won't surely not work. And I took it as a challenge. And Africa International went on to become a leading magazine in Africa. It was really respected and influential and whatever I wanted to be. So that was that point with Africa International. And how you know that you've been inspiring people for women. Basically, I was the only woman in the whole Francophone space to run a Pan-African international magazine, to be the owner of such a magazine. So that's one of the points. And the second point was that younger journalists, African journalists, were telling me, "Oh, I've been seeing you around in as a journalist. So I realized you can make a living as a journalist and stay very long in that profession, because all this seemed very ephemeral and provisional to him. So he said, no, you can be a journalist for a long time. So that's one of the inspiration people from me, sort of.
Right.
And another point was the commitment for and being very bold, unapologetic when it comes to defending Africa and African, the African agenda, and being very tough on that, and having trouble with all kind of stakeholders. And our magazine became a brand for boldness, for Africanness, for integrity. So that I think I can be proud of, and I think that's the things which have been inspiring people. So maybe I leave it here so far.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Marie, I want you to, if I forget, I want you to put a pin in the last two things you said about Africa being bold, as well as it just, your conviction on speaking for Africa or being a voice. We're going to get back to that. Marlon, I want to definitely get back to that, though.
Yes, I have so many things for Marie. I feel like she's the plug. Like she's the plug for quite a few things in Africa. So I definitely want to know about that.
Yeah. You know what I thought though? We need a full hour with her.
Yeah.
I have a ton of questions.
With pleasure. Anytime, whenever you want.
You'll be back. Okay. You'll be back for sure.
Okay.
So we want to bring in, our third honoree of this session on media. And that is Ms. Adeshola Helen Onadipe. She is a Nigerian background, and she has also headlined a wonderful magazine that is so strong in social media, and that's Ladies in Business, which focuses exclusively on women doing their thing in business. So, Ms. Adeshola, please tell us a bit more about that and your journey towards that, and what makes you inspirational.
Pleasure for me to be here. Like, I'll be looking forward to this in a big way. And thank you so much, Marlon. Thank you so much, Hip. Let me quickly, talk about my brief background as a banker from Nigeria, and working in the banking sector, very effective and very, very efficient. So I felt that I was actually wasting my talent, and I resigned in the banking industry and I started doing my own business. There and then I started doing event management business. And when I left the banking, I got a lot of questions from my end. I want to resign and be like you and all that. So I was like, okay, all these inquiries makes me like think of what actually we can actually do for ourselves, because it tells me that so many people, I'm sorry for that, so many people actually have money, they have what it takes, but they can actually think of what they can do. And I came about Business Innovation Academy, which I've been running also, where we actually used to, train people on what to do, your passion. We train them on how they can get to start their business and what the requirements that they actually need to set up for them to start doing their business. And by and large, I started doing that also. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. Because where I come from, I don't have those opportunities Marie and Marsha had. It's a total bad one back here in Nigeria. You've got to work it out for yourself. Like, you got to know how to do it for yourself. So there wasn't an opportunity, even from the government, even from the society, from the environment, everything, you've got to work it out by yourself. So by and large, I started discovering that, okay, is there a place we can actually showcase lots of female entrepreneurs coming up to do one or two things for themselves? And I made a large research, though I was able to find so many magazines meant for women. But I said, no, women and a lady, they are two different people. A woman has been said to have it all, experience, and got all those things that she needed. But a lady, somebody just coming up, she needs direction, ideas of how to go about it. Who is going to help all those people? And apart from that, I realized that, in Abraham Maslow's human needs, self-esteem is actually the most important one. Even after you have your money, you have the fame and all that, you still want to be, to have that power up there. So I was like, is there a way we can actually have a magazine called Ladies in Business Magazine, strictly for the upcoming female ones? Because before you were made a woman, before I'm a woman, but I've gone through a lot of experiences that have made me be who I am today. And that's why I'm able to be standing here to talk about all these experiences. So I thought to myself that we need to give these young ones the chances to grow. And another thing I found out that in Africa, we just don't want all these upcoming ones to grow. We always, even in the politics, we want to find a way to bring them down, forgetting that they're actually the future of tomorrow. They are our future, and we have to equip them right now so that when we're gone, there will be a replacement for us. So all those things put together actually gave me the idea of, okay, you know what? We're going to be showcasing and featuring all these young female entrepreneurs. It's not until when you're a politician or when you've broken the internet or when you have to wake up one day and wait for folks to put you on the magazine. So I said, okay, let's have this platform for them. Let's create it for them, just for them only. That is why I don't showcase, I don't feature, and I don't cover anybody that is already made, like the celebrities. I want to focus on the people just coming up. They are my priorities. They are the goal people that I'm actually working to, because it's a form of encouragement. And ever since I've started, it was a huge one. And it has given me so much strength that, hey, I still actually need to do more because of the testimonies, of the referrals. In fact, last night, a lady actually, one of the lady we put up for Ladies in Business Magazine for UAE version, she actually put my magazine as on a bio that she's a cover page for the magazine. And I said to myself, hey, if I've been playing before, I need to make sure I step up to my game very well, because this means that I'm actually fulfilling purpose. I'm actually making people to feel relevant, to make them seen, heard, and recognized through their efforts done so far. And I found out that there's so many ladies, so many people doing wonderfully well. But because, the society we have, you've got to be up there before someone gets to recognize you, before someone has to say, hey, come, you are this, you have done that, okay, let's put you up. No. So it's a form of appreciating, supporting, giving them that relief of saying, babe, you've actually done great well for yourself. And that is why I came about that Ladies in Business magazine. And like I said, it's been fantastic back home in Nigeria. I just came down here to UAE not up to 6 months ago, But even at that, trust me, the support, the calls, the encouragement I've been getting from UAE, especially here in Dubai, it's been wonderful. And I feel that I need to do so much. I still need to to fulfill so many parts, because I've gotten and I've seen all this, loophole of so many things. That's the same thing back home in Africa. It's just the same thing, like the way I'm seeing it. It's a global thing that we need to help the upcoming ladies in business. We need to fulfill their self-esteem. Not that they don't have the capacity, not that they've not been able to do so well, but it's just that they were not given the chance. And my magazine is a form of a platform to give every female entrepreneurs that have been doing so well, or you've just started, to encourage you and to support. So that's my goal so far. And to say that I've been an inspiration to people, I would say yes 1,000 times, because when we had the She Award program, which is part of the Ladies in Business magazine, it's an award also to appreciate all those female entrepreneurs. And at the award show, it was a serious, I don't want to say, it was actually tears of joy, because a lot of them were actually saying, Shola, this is the first ever award I will receive in my life for the past 20 years. Some says 25, some says 30, some says 15, that they've been working, and it's like nobody is seeing them, and it's like nobody is recognizing them, and sometimes they feel depressed. And we women, we have this problem within ourselves that, oh, you're better than me, oh, I'm better than you. We have this string of competition and all that. So when I had that award show, it was a moment of truth, a moment of self-actualization, a moment of, empathy, kind of like, wow, these women really need to be appreciated. Like, they've been dead, they've been doing so much. We really need to keep it going and appreciate them. And that is what I've been doing so far, and that is who I am. And I think I've been able to say one or two things about myself.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. When you were just closing, I was thinking about when people ask us about Global Brothers podcast and they say, well, what is your mission and vision? I'm thinking about all three of you, and Marsha knows this already. You three exemplify exactly why we're doing this. Okay, so we appreciate that. Marsha, I have a question for you, and it's something that I've heard, but I want you to elaborate on it for our guests. I've heard you say no means not now. Can you
my
tell
favorite.
Yes,
Oh,
what do
my
you
very
mean by
favorite
that?
thing to say. I'll tell you how I used that yesterday. So, as you know, with Out and About Style magazine, I'm always looking for like great people with a story to feature. Now, our slogan is real people living extraordinary lives. And I am the biggest stalker in the world, and I say that all the time. I am a stalker, and I will proudly say Marsha the stalker. So I wrote to someone for an interview, maybe about, because I had to go through all these loopholes to ask for an interview. I asked for the interview, and they came back and they said, oh, Mr. So-and-so is really busy. He's not able to interview at the moment. And I write a journal every night. And when I got to bed, I think it was night before last night, my journal is today I'm grateful for. And in my journal entry, I think it was the night before last night, it was today I'm grateful that Mr. So-and-so's team got back to me and said no, but no just means not now. So therefore, I need to go again. And I need to stalk again at some other point, because you don't get where you want to go to by just taking no and keeping it and saying, okay, they said no, so I keep it moving. Yeah, no, not now, but I'll surely be back. Because there could be lots of different reasons for no at the moment. It more than likely has nothing to do with me. And I can't take it personally. I'm a huge, when someone introduced me to the 4 Agreements, and when I read that book, it was life-changing, to be honest. It was really life-changing. And that bit about, not taking things personally, that works for me every single time. Because it's not me. It's not necessarily about me, and I shouldn't make it about me. I take the information and I keep it moving, and that's how I work. I take what I need to take from it and keep it moving. So that, that's my favorite saying, but one of.
Love that. Love that. Great answer. So no, just not now. So passion and perseverance, everybody. Passion and perseverance. Keep going. Keep pushing until you get what you want out of that relationship. Love that, Marsha.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Marie. Like you, I'm very interested in Pan-African movements, and I'm so inspired by what you've done in your life. But I didn't know your background before, and as you self-described, you're coming from a quote-unquote position of privilege in terms of like your family life, etc. How do you feel that now you've seen the world and seen various statuses and what it takes for people that didn't necessarily have it from a privileged background? How do you feel that there can be a balance in terms of equality, particularly on the continent, with the youth coming up that somewhat feel hopeless because they weren't born into a good situation? What would be your advice to them to kind of rise above?
Okay. You know, privileged people, in terms of, well, say, material background, that you have enough food every day, you have been uh, pushed to have an education and to study. You have parents showing you a lot of confidence, and you know, this I think it's a tiny minority. Otherwise, 99% of Africans, I would say, don't come from affluent families, but still, you know, you have people being successful, moving forward, having no complex whatsoever about their background or so. And I think whenever you become aware of the position and could give you. You just have to give back. That's exactly, that's, I've been always aware of that, my life should be dedicated to improving whatever I can improve in Africa, you know. And in my position, let's say, according to what I was about to give, it was more like a vision, you know, um, pushing up positive people, you know, talents, you know, uplifting them, comforting them, showing them how strong Africa is when every single African believes in his own potential, and you know, creating and maintaining, you know. And I think I've been doing that, maybe not perfectly, of course not, but you see results like, my generation doesn't think in terms of national countries, you know, individual countries, but in terms of Africa as a whole, you know, all activities we've been leading, like, you know, even or covering, but also organizing events, conferences, you know, having people from all over Africa. And that has been a main focus to me, because um, I realized very early that we've been divided, you know, not only if we had been colonized the same way and kept this feeling of commonness, it would be less dramatic. But it was like there are two or three languages with visions and different visions, and people feeling like they can succeed alone, because in our country we have oil, we have resources, and in yours you don't. And we speak that language, you speak French, and you speak English, and those kind of, those divides coming from the past. I've been working towards bridging them, you know, in every step of my life, actually. And whatever we do now, we have a TV program, especially aimed at bridging the gap, or link between Francophone and Anglophone Africans, and especially in West Africa. I mean, we cannot cover the whole continent, but we say, let's do something efficient where we have Nigerian scholars or journalists or figures or opinion leaders or makers discussing with on TV shows on with Senegalese or Ivorian or Cameroonian people on common issues, on issues of common concern. And I think um, there's a lot of randomness, a lot of what happens to this and that, but the continent is being built by those who are aware of what they have to do for the continents, and they will lift up the other ones. I don't know if I answer your question, but I
No,
think you know, the Pan-African thinking is, we are lucky enough that, you know, living in Europe, you see that Europeans tend to accuse Europe for individual countries. Like in France, whatever doesn't work well, they blame it on Europe. But in Africa, I would say most Africans feel the need to unite, and they say they are blocking it. They are not the grassroots people, I would say. They are all the leaders because they want to stay president, have power, retain power, and all the privilege of running a country. But the people, the artists, you can listen to the music, the playwrights, the civil society wants unity.
Yes.
You've actually answered two of my questions, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I was going to follow up with how do we bridge the divide between francophone and anglophone countries,
Yeah.
which as we know was put upon us, with the advent of colonialism. So I'm glad you addressed that as well. And then towards the end of what you were saying there, that's very interesting. And I don't know if there's an answer for that in terms of the people mainly that are against equality and equity are the leaders that want to stay in power. And like a lot of these people are like 60, 70. I think like one leader is even 80 years old. Like how do we stop that? We gotta wait for them to die.
It's very difficult. People have been struggling. And something is happening. You saw in many countries like Burkina Faso, where the youth stood up and could overthrow a very strong, powerful leader. You see things happening like in Senegal. They stopped the president from, installing his own son as things like that. There's a very lively and active, proactive civil society, and the new generation. Difficult to get change, but change is coming. I see that everywhere, something too slowly to my taste or to other people's taste, but it is coming. And I think the fact that we have the African population is young and has a lot of demands, and they see. They are looking for a future, and they see all those people, those politicians, taking countries in hostage. And I think things are moving, and we will see, progressively, maybe brutally.
Kind of feel toward the end there, but thank you so much. I think you want to say like change. That change is coming. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for that well thought out answer, Adeshola. Keith.
Yeah, the thing that I'm gathering is all three of our guests today see a need, and they're filling that need. And Adeshola, I want to ask you a question, but first I'm gonna try to get the question out. But I first have to preface it by saying that I'm in a position when I was in the States and even here in just making sure I have a certain lens. So I'm feeling needs of people and actually being as diverse and tolerant as possible in regards to culture and diversity. I've seen that you have been pretty deliberate and intentional in your approach to changing young women's lives. And there's a quote I'm going to read, and I want you to respond to that. You said the quote. So, quote, in Africa or Nigeria, they do not always want the young ones to grow. You train a woman, you train a nation. Can you respond to that?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, just the way the word is being said. When I started magazine, I'm not a journalist. I didn't even go to school of journalism or have anything to do with it. But when we talk about media is actually the fastest way for us to get things out there for people to know, apart from education. Now, when I said when you train a woman, you train a nation, because there is no way you don't have your sister in your home, you have a mother, you have someone, aunties and everyone in your home, one way or the other. And of course, women, we are the mother of nations. And you can see that with the way female women carry things with passion, with commitment, enthusiasm, consistency, all those things put together is a force that you can actually get from a woman. And if you can actually equip such a woman to do all things, then you're good to go. And the whole society, the country at large will be a better place for everybody. And talking about change that Mary just mentioned about, apart from just doing the magazine and just doing the media thing, I wanted to use this, my media platform, to focus on, the less privileged female entrepreneurs and the young ones, like I said, and especially here in UAE that I discovered, sex trafficking and some other things. A lot of them are out there. In fact, I saw some of them. I came across them and I was like, what is this? What's going on? You see, we can just sit here. Mary said the change is coming. The change is here, Mary. We've got to do that change. The change is here. And actually, that have brought me to, come on with a comedy platform. I've discussed this with Williams, and I'm still going to, invite some of us to come on board online for us to make this thing happen. For our female ones, for African female ones, being brought down from Africa, coming down here for sex trafficking. They don't have papers, they don't have visas, they don't have jobs, they don't have all those things. We can actually come together, help them. If the ones that are having problems, we put them to the authority. If it's one that can, if it's the one that can actually be solved, we solve it. If it's the one that can't be solved, we send them back home. If it's a criminal issue, but if it's just something simple, but they have this fear, they have, some stupid people bringing them down here all the way from America for sex trafficking, and they got their passports and all those things, and so many things are going on here. We can't just close our eyes and be waiting for the change to come. We got to effect the change now. And now is the time. I'm just praying for the COVID-19 thing to just get it past, so that we can all put our effort, our resources, and everything together and make things work for ourselves. So I want to use my media platform to focus this and showcase this, and let's get things done uprightly for our young ones, for our female ones. They need us, and I want to be there for them. I want to be there for them.
Heavy.
I can hear it. Yeah, I can hear the passion.
I've got a follow up for Adeshola.
Yeah,
I've got a follow up with your academy. Yeah, that actually puts action to what you've just eloquently put there. Tell us about your academy a bit, and how that started, and also its connection to the She Awards.
exactly. Like I said the other time, that there are lots of people that are just there. Some don't have passion, some do. Some have something that, they have the resources, they have the capital, but they just don't know how to start. And what the academy stands for, we used to tell them that, what are you passionate about? Because when you're doing business, if passion is not there, there is no way you can move forward. Because there are some times in business, you're going to walk down and just cry and just feel like, hey, what am I doing? It's like it's not working. But the passion will continue to give you the strength, will continue to give you the creativities, the ideas, the strategies of how you can actually maneuver. If A doesn't work, try C. If C doesn't work, try Z. So all those things put together with trying to put them into having a good business structure of how to open their account, accounting procedures, journals, to keep journals, and every other thing to get their business upright and be done in a professional way. These are the things encompassed like a body that will actually train them at the Business Innovation Academy. And regarding the She Award, like I said, the She Award actually has to do with the Ladies in Business magazine. Of course, the magazine covers everything, in the sense that it showcases and features everybody, especially female. I covered female only. I'm sorry. It looks like I'm being, but I'm about for anything girly, anything and everything girly. And just because, I'm a mother of 2 teenagers. 3 girls. So maybe that's where it's coming from. So, but notwithstanding, the point is that sometimes, women are being seen as the most vulnerable one all over the world. And if there's anything that's happening, it's going to hit them fast most. So, and that is why I've had that calling to be my ministry that I really want to focus on. So for the She Award, we specifically appreciating all those people for their effort done effectively and efficiently over the years, to say that you're not alone, we are with you, even though the Forbes is not there for you to recognize you, even though the CNN doesn't see you, we have seen you, we know you are there, and we know somewhere, someday, you're going to get more recognition than this. So we make them to have a platform as a startup for them, to keep on keeping on, to set them keeping on a motion so that they can continue to do what they have to do without falling into depression and, going outside their way.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
wow.
you.
I think there's another hour show for her as well. Let's put that in the universe. Marsha, I want to thank you personally for getting us through the last 2 or 3 months, because I'm a faithful subscriber to Out and About Style magazine, and when that hits on the 15th, I'm feeling really, really good about your content. How have you kept up with having to be inside, not being able to get out? Has it been a challenge to get out and do all the things you do, but still put together a publication that's so quality?
Keith, you just gotta do what you gotta do. And that's how I see life. In every sense of life, you've got to do what you got to do. Other than Out and About Style, I'm a techie, I'm a teacher. Again, I'm not a journalist, I don't come from the background. I'm actually a maths and science teacher. So this whole love of writing, and that's why it's so important for me that the topics there are things that we want to talk about, and that others, that people who read the magazine want to hear about and want to talk about, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible. We have a lot of people that approach us in terms of features. So in this space now, and because we probably saw it some time ago, you don't need to leave your house to be able to interview someone. I have an interview tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and it's going to be via Zoom, and it's for the next issue of the magazine. So for me, we've planned that this month these are the topics that we're covering. Next month, these are the topics, these are the people. Nothing is stopping that. You have to have a magazine on the 15th of the month. As my granny would say, come rain, come shine, I have to deliver that. So there's no two ways around it. The content must be there, the quality must be exceptionally high, and what we've done, if you've been following Out and About Style magazine, you'll notice that from the first issue to, I think we're on the 15th one for the next issue, we have grown tremendously. And I look at each of them. We started with 50 pages. We're at 120 odd pages now, depending on the magazine. And I don't shy away from criticism. So whatever feedback I get, I look at it because I want to be better. So every 15th, you want something better because I want something better for you as well. So nothing stops. No rain, no sun, no storm. Nothing stops the features. Nothing stops the content from coming out, Heath. You know, I know you're there waiting, so I have to deliver.
Yeah, I can't wait to ask this, and I'm very curious, Marie. So, of course, you won for everybody, Marie won the Journalist of the Year by the National Association of Black Journalists. And I was wondering, there's always that article or there's always that moment. So what can you mention during that year was your biggest accomplishment, which led you to being awarded by that prestigious honor by your peers? What can you point out, or what aha moment did they get that you were here? And
there are two of them. Okay, there are two of them. There are two moments, I would say. First was that I was the first journalist in France to have a one-on-one interview with Nelson Mandela just after his release, and it was big news there. Okay, it was headline news everywhere. And the second was our coverage, our very bold and again the mainstream coverage of what was happening in Rwanda. You know, journalists who covered who started covering the country like 3-4 years before the genocide. So we we had an insight. It was not like most of the newspaper covering, the international newspaper covering the situation, just discovered Rwanda the very day they heard about what was happening there. So they had no perspective, no background whatsoever. So we had a very distinct voice on that, and that was, I think, that one of the things which made the difference. And I must say that was a turning point in my life. That's coverage of Rwanda, because I mean, not only coverage, what happened there, and we stuck to the story for years, and people coming to me, like in Dakar, even like 4 years ago, somebody came to me and says, "You don't know me. I'm a new minister in Cote d'Ivoire. I just want to thank you for explaining me what was going on in Rwanda for years." And I mean, you know, that's kind of satisfactions you can have after being, let's say, being victim of a lot of attacks and whatever, and you know, so that was a turning point. And you know, and also we the outstanding things, we used to organize award-winning events for Africans from all over, and it was like one for social action, one women entrepreneurs too. You know, you had the political figures, you had business leaders, and you have also cultural leaders, African culture from all over. And we had prestigious guests like Martin Luther King the third. We had like Spike Lee, you know, like Denzel Washington, all of them in an attempt to bridge that gap, you know, to just to
Wow.
to reunite the diaspora, Africa as a whole, you know, coming towards that. So that's a, and we will still doing that. And the next event were cancelled because of COVID, but we hope next year we will be able to catch up with that. If I may, I had also a question. So I was very much impressed by Marsha and Adeshola, and I was wondering, I would say, looking at them working and being busy in Dubai. I have two questions. What is the target? Is it there's people in Dubai? And how do you monetize? How do you make money out of that? That's the two things I wanted to know.
Adeshola, we're gonna have you answer first. So, first question: what is the target? What's your target audience, and how do you monetize it?
Okay, yeah. Like I've been saying, my target audience are basically female entrepreneurs, people that are strictly in business. So how do I monetize that? Well, like I just got here in Dubai, like not up to 6 months, like or 6 months thereabout. I'm still in my stage of trying to, you know, find a way to balance it all. But normally, when we are doing a coverage for the magazine, people do place in adverts and all that. So through the adverts, we make some money. And another thing that I'm actually trying, that I actually wanted to talk about is, you know, we are in the media. We've got to bring in so many juicy, fantastic packages and, you know, interesting strategies. And when we say we are media, we've got to do it all, anything that has to do with media. And that is why I've decided to come about what we call Buzz My Business video coverage show. We practically, this I do back home in Nigeria. We'll practically come to your office, to your shop, do some video clips of what you do, your business, you show us some products and services that you do. We cover them, post it on our social media platform, broadcast them, and let everybody know whom you are. Apart from just having the hard copy, just reading about you, people want to feel you. They want to get into you, like, oh, who is this person? What does she do? How does the product feel like? So we want to extend that version of the video, you know, magazine, so to say, to people, for people to actually be seen, heard, and recognized that, okay, this is Marsha, she's into Style and In magazine. You can go to her office, you feel this, all those things. So this is part of the strategy I've started to put it in place, which I'm going to start working on by next month, to add to it. So that, of course, they will pay for it. It will be a paid advert, but in video version that people can actually hear and see the person in charge of a particular business. So that's what I'm doing.
So to go on from what Marie was saying, in terms of your target audience, you've only been in Dubai 6 months. So was it an international magazine, or was it only based in Nigeria?
It is an international magazine. It is global. Ladies in Business magazine, global, and it covers every colors, not only black, everyone.
Great, wonderful. So Marsha, Marie had the same question for you. You are unmuted now. We see your lovely son back there. Hey, buddy.
I told you it wasn't gonna be long.
Hey, all good, all good. So same question for you.
I knew it wasn't gonna be long. Okay, so as Adeshola said, we do paid features, we do adverts, but there's something, because here's what my vision is for Out and About Style magazine. Now, when I created the magazine, the whole idea was to show real people living extraordinary lives. Yeah, so we don't feature any celebrities. We don't look at, and we feel like if there's some people who have moved up the rank, show them as well. They're not international celebrities, but show them, because I want to know how they got there. I personally want to know how they got there. So I want to, lots of the interviews I do, I'm like, what do I want to know from this person? And when I go in, that's kind of my first aim, like, what can I learn here? Now, one of the aims of Out and About Style magazine is to see a magazine that features real people as an in-flight magazine. So not just from the UAE, but we will be in an airline. When you go into the airline, you pick up the magazine, you are reading about real people. So that's the vision for Out and About Style. We'll have lots of other things coming. Now, in terms of monetizing, the money is not necessarily coming from Out and About Style magazine. Out and About Style magazine is giving us a platform to make money from other things. So some of the other things that we're working on, the money is likely to come from there more than it will come from the magazine. But you will know the magazine and you will know who I am, and that will give you security in spending your money, because you know that we have a solid base, and when you're spending your money, it's going to be worth your while.
Fabulous. So Marsha Fry, the brand, people need to have confidence in that, and then say that we're confident to support Out and About Style magazine. Mm-hmm. I had a follow up from Marsha based on that. So you mentioned the in-flight magazine idea. Obviously, with COVID now, I'm sure you've thought about the pivot within that to actually have a digital showing of that.
It's so Out and About Style magazine was born as a digital magazine. So the idea is not just, okay, you're gonna flip through your paper. You've got a little screen in front of you. We're never gonna stop flying. So when you go on Out and About Style magazine now, you go on the website and you flip through, or you download it on your phone or your iPad or whatever, and you flip through it. Now, when you go in the airplane, how many magazines do you flip through?
None.
There are probably none there. Yeah, because I've not seen any.
Right.
I'm watching movies. I'm watching movies on the plane.
You're watching movies, but sometimes I just, like, for me, I don't watch movies. So that's where my idea comes from, because I go home to London and it takes me 7 hours, and for 7 hours I can't sleep. I'm not interested in movies. I'm not a movie person. So what else can I be doing? I can be reading. I enjoy reading, so I either travel with my book or I want something to read somewhere that's actually interesting, and it's not just, oh, she's a pin-up model oh, look at me, oh, these people have gotten divorced, oh, they're breaking up, oh, they're having a baby. You know, it needs to have a little bit more substance than that.
That's a great idea. I think that
Let's work.
you're on to something. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people like you who want something quality and real when they're on a flight that long, you know? And I can even remember myself reaching in the back of the seats and looking through magazines that I wasn't really even interested in, you know? So it would
Because
take me 3 minutes.
they're probably offering you perfume to buy.
Exactly.
Or
It would take
alcohol
me
or
3
something like that.
Yeah, it would take me 3 minutes to get through each magazine because it didn't interest me. So I think that's a really good plan.
The courage and boldness that it takes to be an entrepreneur. All three of you ladies have families, which, like you mentioned in your introductions, how do you balance that work-life kind of situation there? I
found that, like, being an entrepreneur, I've had to come to terms with the fact that I don't have as much time with my family. It is an issue, but it is true. So I want to say this because there are lots of other people out there, and especially women, it tends to be a little bit harder for us, that we have to be moms if you've got children, and you have to do lots of other things. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to know that your time with your family is going to be a little bit less. So if you're not prepared for that, and that's my personal feeling, you're not prepared for that, then you're going to have an issue. So like now we're at home. Aiden is super active, and I probably get through the whole day with doing this amount of work. So I end up staying up very late at night to make sure I get my stuff done because I have to get it done. So I just try my best to balance things as best as I can, but it does mean that I work later. I work way more hours than I would like to, but I have to get it done, so I have to get it done. There's time for school, there's time for bath, there's time for eating. You know, there's a time for everything.
Like that. So we have to get it done. Adeshola, that work-life balance.
Oh, yeah. You see, like I used to say to women, like, you see, women, we can have it all at the same time. There's some time you've got to slow down something for another one. And, because I can remember part of the reason why I left the banking job was to have, that precious time with my children, which I had, and I'm so thankful for that. You see, sometimes we need to prioritize our needs and our time with our children. Though it's not easy, but sometimes there is a way you have to give that time for your family. Entrepreneurship lifestyle, it's a journey. It's a continuous effort. It's not something that you stop. And it's something that may affect some parts than the other. And family is the most important thing. I mean, even though you're a rich woman and you didn't have your family in place, it's going to be a huge one. So I will always create that time for my family, for my children, especially because I've been taught some bad lessons back in the days, and it has really given me that edge for me to put my family first in anything I want to do. I'll always try to create that time for them. Yeah, business, I still need to do that, but hey, family first. So that's it.
Awesome.
Actually, I'm interested in asking because I have one child and I find it difficult. I find it difficult at times because my one child is like having about 5. So I am honest. Some days I'm like, how do I get through this day sane or still alive? Okay. So, like, what kind of strategies do you use to ensure that you're putting in that time with the family and you're still getting everything done?
And before you answer that, Adeshola, know that Marsha's writing a story right now. Right now, she's being a stalker right now.
Great, awesome. It's my pleasure to be part of the story, to contribute. Okay, you see, like I said, I have a 3-year-old daughter too, and she's like 10, children out of one. Seriously, and she's a girl, she's just like a boy. But you know what I do? I find our own time, our own best hype time, to keep up with my own time, so that I'll be able to have that time to keep up with her. And when she's done, I decided to have my own time. Though it's not easy. Then sometimes when they were growing up, I actually, seek for help for, a couple of hours. For a while, I have to be busy to do some things if it's not the best timetable that I've made up for them. So I seek for help, like assistant people that can actually help me just for a little while. It's not that it's a permanent thing. And thank God the other ones are actually growing up. So I was able to, okay, you manage your sister, you do this, you do this. So right now it's like I'm just kind of flowing. But though when they were young, it wasn't easy, like I said. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to find that time when she's on the hype or he's hype. You give him that time. So when it's done, of course it's gonna be done. Then you can have that time for yourself and do what you have to do. If you don't have help or assistance or someone to help you.
Even with help and assistance, I still can't manage.
You're gonna let me.
I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion which clearly shows that I don't know anything, but I would say, especially for Adeshola, you got to make the other ones look after the little one. Give them work, give them a job.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we've lost Marie temporarily. We think that she's having a bit of technical difficulty, but we're gonna roll on. For Marsha, I read something about you that I don't know, maybe it missed me, or like you might have said it before, but you have a background in inclusive education.
I do, yeah.
Kind of explain what that means.
So yes, my master's is in inclusive education, which is looking at special needs. I taught a child, I think maybe back in 2002, called Christopher. He had Asperger's syndrome, like severely needy. And I decided I still wanted to have him in my maths class. He wasn't supposed to be there, but I decided, no, I want him here because I want to see how he performs in an inclusive classroom. When I said he was severely needy, he at some point, he got so fixated on other children that if he heard a name, so he had a girl called Biloa, and I'll never forget her, where he was so fixated on Biloa that if he heard Bisola's name, he would just jump. And she's his target. And he would just try anything to attack her. So I started to do some reading on that because I was like, how can I help this child? I want him to be in my class, but I need to have the strategies to be able to help him. I want to be able to teach him maths. I want him to be able to be there. But what do I do? Because clearly I don't have the strategies. I'm a maths teacher, but not a special needs teacher. So that sparked my interest. And I went on to having several other students. I had a Sabrina, I had an Alfie. I had Alfie, who was a student who was not allowed to walk even to the bathroom on his own because he was that needy. He wouldn't be able to go anywhere without a learning support person. I felt like if I'm a teacher and I'm responsible for this child, I must be able to manage them in my classroom. I don't want them to be taken to a room somewhere else to be taught by someone who's probably not a specialist in the subject. So what can I do to help? And that's where I started my journey in terms of inclusion. When I moved to the UAE, and one of the teachers that I worked with, one of the vice principals I worked with, she was like, Marsha, you like all the naughty children. Why do you like all the naughty children? I said, there's so much life there. And they're probably naughty, quote unquote naughty, because we are not supplying their needs. We're not taking care of them as effectively as we should be. We're not giving them what they need. So that's why you probably think they're naughty. I love them. I love them and I want to help them because there's something there. I met a girl here who would every single day come to me to ask for someone else. So she would pass the person and come and ask me, Miss Marsha, where's Miss Sarah? It wasn't because she didn't know where Miss Sarah is. It was because there was a need to talk to someone. She was severely special as well. Everybody kind of sidelined her. Nobody talked to her. So coming to me every day to ask, where is Miss Sarah, was just her little way of, trying to communicate and trying to get help. So that's something I'm seriously very, very passionate about. And that's why I went into studying that area and trying to help children in that area as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's wonderful.
Leaders, when they see a need, they feel it, and that's why you guys are inspiring, and people are actually, modeling after you. Marsha, I did want to commend you. Marsha was on a Zoom call with Amity University, right?
Yeah. So that's looking great as well.
That was fantastic. Just that outreach.
Thank you.
That outreach was amazing. I was happy to get on that Zoom call. So
thank you. Thanks, Heath. Thanks for being there. Yes, and just there are fantastic things coming along from that. So we do have some of the students there who, because of that lecture, actually who want to come and work with the magazine, because of the story, because of what we do. So I'm really looking forward to that. It does benefit to give up your time. So I like to give away my time because I know I get a lot of things rewarded.
Here's another one for you two ladies. In terms of this pivot situation, that's like the buzzword of the moment right now. And even like before, I'm sure you guys did it anyway to get your features and to keep people interested in terms of your content. What kind of relationships are you looking to combine with to kind of keep from interest to profitability to all of these things going? Like, what kind of interests are you collaborations are you bringing about for your magazines, Adeshola and Marsha?
Basically, like I said earlier on, that I'm actually looking at a situation whereby, we're going to put our effort together. I've already actually named it UAE African Change Community. Change movement, sorry. It's going to be a movement, and it's all about change for every perception of the Black people, of the African people in the whole world. So since we are here in UAE, we can actually start it up and make it work, and having that change movement. And like I talked earlier on about our female ones, just to make everything right, here, and especially everywhere in the world. Just see Black people, it's just like, it's just some form of sort of negative vibes, negative impression, perception. It's crazy. Look at what happened in US. I mean, I can't breathe in. It's crazy. So it's all about, we need to present ourselves as good people. We are good people. We don't need to, but we need to like start doing things to make things right for ourselves. So from the female angle, for the women aspect, that's the part that I'm looking forward to collaborate with my fellow media gurus for us to actually use our media platform. Let's use our power, our resources to bring out this thing, and let's help the vulnerable ones, the female ones in, the African in UAE. Since we are here, this is where it will be easier for us to start. So that's what I'm looking for us to, harness our power together and make it work and make it happen. So that's my plan.
Awesome. And collaborations, Marsha?
I think the first part of the pivot for me is that I've stopped talking about COVID. Like I'm over it. I'm over it because I know that people want to see something else now. We know COVID is happening and we're sick and tired of it and we want it to go away. So let's look at some other things that are more interesting. And just doing Zoom calls, reaching out to people, LinkedIn and all of that. there are so many people that I come across that are super interesting. And in the next issue of the magazine, we're going to have like a very special piece that will speak to lots of women across the world, lots of men across the world. I think there's so many people that have that story, and it will just be a letter to someone's father. And that person reached out to me because she said, okay, I see what you're doing. I haven't seen my dad. She's 30 odd years old. She's not spoken to her dad since she was a child. So she wants to let her dad know her journey. And she's asked me to put that together for her, you know, so that everybody else can see that. Because I might have that issue. You might have that issue. How do you actually let other people know, you know, how to deal with your issues that you've had? So that's one of the things that we're doing, is trying to bring a different slant to things, making sure that we're not talking about the everyday thing that every single media outlet talks about. You can go online and everybody's talking about COVID, and everybody's talking about Justin Bieber is gonna have, not Justin Bieber, one of the other ones having a baby and all of that stuff. It's everywhere. So what else can you bring to the table? So that's our focus. Something else that I had planned that was supposed to actually be a physical event, that kind of COVID said, okay, this shouldn't be physical, Marsha. You need to think about this in another way, was I go on social media and I see all of these people wearing all of these lovely clothes, and I'm thinking, what do you do with all of that clothes? I am guilty as well. But what do you do with all the clothes you have? You post on social media in a different outfit every single time. And then what? So in the next couple of months, we're launching shopmycloset.me. And it is a space for you to declutter your closet, put it on there and say, okay, this is how much I would like for this piece. Please take it. Give that piece of garment a second chance, men and women. This idea was supposed to be an event that was supposed to happen somewhere in Dubai. This is now going to be an online e-commerce platform that allows everybody, instead of keeping a whole closet full of stuff and then buying new things, put your stuff there, allow someone else to take it and give it another chance.
I remember that event, Marsha, and I think you told us last time that you were going to have a kind of like dinner, like a gala dinner as well with it, and I was like, oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
Okay, well, in terms of this online thing, that's not going to feed me, so I don't know if I'm going to come to that.
You are the first person. You, with all your outfits.
Whoa. Nobody's getting their mitts on my outfits, all right? I'm just going to look at them, gather dust. I'd rather do that than give them to anybody.
We're changing that, Mr. Dandy. We're changing that.
Hey, we have a question from the audience. Tega would like to know, the question says, how do you handle funding for your small business, especially at the early stages where it is not generating much income to cover expenses? Very good question, Tega.
Yeah, my mic is unmuted, so I'll tell you what I did. Firstly, I did a lot of work myself. So that's one of the first things I did when we started out and there was no money. So when I had to write articles, nobody knew who I was other than the kind of teaching community. People didn't know who I was, so people are not going to say, oh, come, I'll write something for you. I'll write an article, or yes, let me do this or that. So I did a lot of things myself. I spent a lot of time doing a lot of writing, researching, editing the works. And then as we started to grow, then I employed people. So when I started out, it was just me and my graphic designer. And I hope you can't tell that it's still me, my graphic designer, and I've got an assistant. But that's how we've been rocking it. You know, we do as much as possible in-house, and then, you know, try to keep the spending as little as possible. Otherwise, we're all broke.
And it's probably pretty similar for you too, Adeshola.
first of all, when you're starting up a business, it's actually never going to be a fun thing. It's not easy. As an entrepreneur, you've got to find a lot of ways through savings or through doing some kind of form of another business. Like when I started my event business, I was actually selling wristwatches. I love wristwatches, by the way. So I was like, okay, how do I get money? Because you can't get funding. So I started selling something in order to do another thing. That wasn't my priority. Selling wristwatches wasn't my priority. It's just for me to get that money, to get it to fund, my business. And that was what I did. I was able to, open an account, register, business cards, and everything, the prerequisite things that I needed to fund my business. And that was how I started it. And along the line, when you're doing your business, if you don't need to have an office, you don't need to have an office. If you don't need to have a secretary, you don't even need to have a graphic designers like Marsha had. You don't have to. You can hire one on paper as they go, as it comes. So when you're starting your business, you've got to be very strategic by bringing in some little funding that you can manage, your own resources that you can actually manage. You don't need to bring in, except for the fact that if you need that big capital, that huge capital, that you actually need to get a warehouse and some other things for you to implement to start up your business. But hey, a room is never built in a day. And little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. I get lots of these same questions, lots of time from people. I need funding. Hey, no, you don't need funding. Sometimes you don't need that money. By the time you pump in money, you will not be able to go through the process of how to manage the business and the fund very well, because you just got it like that. But if you actually work for it, you will earn it. You will be able to sustain yourself. And by the time, even though, when your business is not coming up well or is not making fun, you'll be able to make use of whatever you have efficiently and effectively. So you don't really need that much huge capital like people used to think, or the feel that they need that much more money. If you can't get from family, if you can't get from friends, you can't get from your savings, do something that can get you money to do that business. I've done it. I'm just talking from.
I'll add to that as well. So I do agree with you. I did lots of pop-ups before I started Out and About Style magazine. So I was packing stuff in my car, doing Right Market, doing different markets around the place. But in terms of what we were doing for the magazine, I did try to make sure that I didn't even have to spend any of that money that we were making, but trying to really invest time rather than, I believe time is money, but invest more of my time as well to make sure that I didn't have to be spending outside of when it wasn't necessary. I had to get the graphic designer because we deliver a magazine every month.
Yeah.
So and also we do flyers and brochures and all of those other stuff as another way of making money as well. So that's something else. Marie is gone. But in terms of monetizing, we offer our services. So if you want to create your magazine, or if you want to create your flyers or whatever for your business, then we'll also do that for you. So other than just reading our magazine, you can have us create for you as well as another stream of income.
Oh, the plug. We love the plug there. You see how smoothly
no shame, Arlen, no shame.
At all.
Shoot your shot, Marsha. Shoot your shot.
No.
At all. Yeah. And another thing, like, just for me to add also, because since I'm actually dealing with, female ladies in business, we help them to set up their business in terms of business registration and like the printing jobs that they need to do as well, their websites, we help them to do all that as well. And for those that need, you need SME lawyer, legal officers that need, so that you can know the kind of business you're actually doing. Sometimes you're opening a business, you don't know the legal part of the business. So we have the legal section, and we also have those in charge of accounting procedures for them to have a proper accounting procedure. So if you want to go to the bank someday in the future to get some facilities, loans and all that, you'll be able to have a good record straight, so they know your history of your accountability of your business. So it gives a good straight record, and you're qualified to get a loan at some. So all those things like that too is what I do, that my platform help also, because it's just about developing these female entrepreneurs. Anything that will make them to develop, to get to the standard of a professional business owner. That is what I do as well.
Every entrepreneur, every leader, every change agent has someone they lean on, someone who mentors them, someone who they look up to. Who is that one person? Marsha, you go first. Who's the one person that you can lean on and someone that you could just look up to for guidance, support?
Man, so as I said, when I came to the UAE, we came together. We decided we are going to move to the UAE together from a school in London. And my good friend Lisa, who just lived down the road from me as well, she's my sister. She runs very successful businesses here. She also runs a magazine that's hugely successful in the education space. So I'm gonna plug Teach UAE, Teach Middle East, or Teach UAE on certain platforms. If you are in the education space, she is your girl. So if there is anything in terms of media that I want to ask, I go to her. And as I said, my mom's a hustler. My dad's not alive anymore, but my mom's a true hustler from I've known her. So in terms of entrepreneurship, and my mom's someone who's had to restart her life. So she had a hugely abusive relationship for 20 years. And she had to start over from scratch, from nothing. And when I show people now, I talk to people about my mom and what she's achieved after that period, they're amazed that, you know, she started again from zero, but she still managed to outdo herself. So if I have certain questions, I'm going to my mom because I've seen her do it. So those are kind of, I've stuck two people in, but in terms of media and how you've done it and what you've done, Lisa is my person. My mom, in terms of just general entrepreneurship, my mom holds me down.
And Adeshola, who's your squad?
Yeah.
Who's your squad?
Okay. 3 people. Sorry, I'm gonna give you 3 people. Okay, first of all, internationally, I'm gonna mention Oprah. I mean, she's the media guru of our lifetime. Like, I watch her over and over, and I can't just get tired. And apart from the fact that, I mean, she's about everything that I'm trying to do as well. I'm actually looking up to her in several ways, helping the female, the young ones, and everyone. So Oprah Winfrey is actually my international role model that I'm looking up to. And back home in Nigeria, there is a woman. She's into the media guru also. We actually call her the African Oprah. Her name is Mo Abudu. I love her so much. I don't know if you guys know her. She is very, very talented. You know, I'm fantastic. So she's my role model back home in Africa, in Nigeria. She's someone I actually look up to. I mean, these are the people I want to be like in future, or be more than in future in the media sector area. And the third person is actually me, because I look at the fact that I can't disappoint myself, and I've got to be real with myself, because I have people looking up for me, and I've got expectations to meet. So I'm the third person, the third role model of my life.
That's awesome. Love that. Love that. And since you mentioned Oprah there, I have a sorry, you guys are so interesting. I have another question now. Video wise, and myself coming from a video content background, how interested are you guys to actually get more into video content? I don't know if you do any already, but how interested are you into like getting more into video content? I mean, both of you are obviously very good conversationalists and good on screen, and can definitely hold the attention of the public. So are you thinking about that kind of thing, video content?
Definitely, of course, for sure, Marlon. I have something special that I'm working on as well. So for the magazine, like I sent it to the graphic designer, and I was like, this is what I've been talking about for these years. Even before we started, this is what I'm talking about. So not just, so now, or just before, I work in an artificial intelligence-based company, and we do a lot of content creation, videos, we do animations and all of that. So very soon, when you see Out and About Style magazine, I'm putting it out there because I can, you will be seeing videos embedded and animations embedded. I want the magazine to be alive. So not just videos but where actually you can see movement in the actual magazine. So you see illustrations, you see animation. And that's what I'm working on now. I know a few people because of the space that I was in, so that's where I'm pushing myself so that it's a lot more interesting than it is right now.
I already mentioned it back then during the course of the interview that I'm actually looking at a situation whereby we can actually have a live interview session other than having the hard copy, for you to read. So we actually literally be going to to feature ladies, to cover a video of them in their office or in their workshop or in their shops where they are selling their products and services, to actually have a video one-on-one conversation with them, and then we interview them, basically then post it up on all our social media, help them to promote it, so that apart from reading about them, you can actually see and feel them at the same time. So that is what I'm going to start that by next month, so to say.
Awesome. That sounds exciting. Why don't you finish us off, Adeshola, with your social media handles and your website and how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah. My Instagram is at Limbiz Global. Limbiz Global. LINBIZGLOBAL. Limbiz Global. The same thing on Twitter. The same thing on Twitter, and which other one now? Now on Facebook is Ladies and Business Magazine, and my website is www.ladiesandbusiness.com.ng. So we're actually working on the website to be updated anyway. And another thing, we're trying to have a platform on the website whereby every ladies in business can actually see themselves, negotiate business with themselves. Someone in UK can transact business with someone in Rwanda, and they can actually get connected to what's happening in Rwanda, or what can I bring down to Rwanda, or what can a lady in business from Rwanda take back to UK, vice versa that way. So we're actually working on the strategy so that we can have the websites to be in a proper shape. And on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, not as Ladies in Business, but as Adeshola, Onadipe. So that's it.
Awesome. And Marsha, your handles and your website, how can people get in touch with you?
My website is in the chat. It's outandaboutstylemag.com. We're Out and About Style Mag on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, also on Twitter, but we don't do a lot on Twitter. Or my personal page is the Marsha Fry on Instagram, or Marsha Fry on LinkedIn. Or you can email me, Marsha at outandaboutstylemag.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And we do have Marie, who has just managed to join back right in time. Hi, Marie.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Internet problems here is awful.
Understandable, no problem. I have one more question for you, since you've just slid back in there, and I want to be fair to your Olympic stature of experience. After all of that background in media and in your life experiences, what's your current thing? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, this is such an interesting question, because I've been doing so many things, and at some point you question your identity. Of course, I'm a journalist, I'm an entrepreneur, but sometimes both are a little bit conflicting. And I do communication. I was in print. Now I turn over to TV. So, the COVID period, the time I had to think about all this was very productive. So now, if you ask me what I am, I would say I'm a global media producer, which means things I'm doing now, I'm producing contents for TV. We know we have a TV program, which is syndicated, called Africa International, like the name of the magazine we used to publish, the political magazine, and which is being aired by roughly 10 major TV stations in West Africa, in Francophone, because it's in French. And that's one of the things, we produce content. We have a website called also MB Networks, where we aggregate information. We produce our own content, but we also we also how you say it, transfer or whatever new contents. We also use other contents. And also the other thing is we produce content for clients, for social media. So it's really about content production, and that has become the business, and is now clear in my mind. Or doing, I put all that under an umbrella, and in the time to come, we will continue structuring all this to become coherent, and I would say efficient, and more pragmatic in the way we go about things.
Wonderful. And how can people get in touch with you? Your social media handles and your website, please.
Okay. My Twitter is at Biloa, and our website, main website, because there are many, is mrbnetworks.com. MRB has not hyphen networks.com, and we have also a conference event we do events through clubmillennium.org.
I just want to ask Marisa.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
She is a leader in this space, so I just wanted to know very quickly, what advice would you give us who are children in this business? What advice would you give us?
Okay, I think you started better than I did, because I was a journalist not thinking of making money, so I've been cooked up by the money issue and it was a problem. So now I think you are well aware of the fact that your activity must generate enough income for you to thrive and to move forward. So I like the idea that you look at a magazine as let's say sort of a transition to something. It's sort of a basis. It gives you a basis to communicate, to a basis to build upon and do other things next to beside it. I found that the idea great, and I think you are already doing the right thing. And always make sure you know your target. That's what I'm asking, because when I started, it was rather clear. It was a Pan-African magazine, in French, so automatically it was addressing audiences in the French-speaking areas. But still, it was like, do I speak? How do I address a Cameroonian and somebody from Cote d'Ivoire? How do I build a common awareness of things? It was not that easy. But when you do a magazine and you say you want to be global, make sure there is a need for global thing. My experience is that the best things are niche, really narrow down to your target, really to narrow down to a target. Sometimes, even if the target is not that broad, it's more efficient if it's really very, very focused. That's an experience. But maybe things have changed since, with globalization, digitalization, you many things online, probably. So think every day about my target. What is my target? And make sure you think of it every day. That's one of the things I can tell you. Well, I think to me is the one important thing.
That's awesome. Marsha, is good?
Thank you so much. Of course.
Yeah, come.
It's brilliant. Thank you very much.
We call that free game.
Yeah, I am always looking for something free.
With pleasure, you know.
Thank you so
With
much.
pleasure. I would like us to discuss and keep exchanging about what we do and inspiring each other. I'm sure there are many insights to get from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Thank you so much, Mari. Thank you so much. God bless you.
So Heath, another great one in the bag. That was our second of 4 in our series with the 12 inspirational and entrepreneurial women in association with the UAE Africa Networking Group. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Heath.
And all the other ladies.
Thank you, Marlene.
Thank you guys so much for being here. And as we always say at this time, live global and prosper. Check us out on YouTube, Global Brothers Podcast, and please subscribe and share and, continue to support, good content.
Tell everybody. Mr. Worldwide.